What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, over the last 24 hours, the story with GTA 6 leaking out has continued to develop, with Rockstar Games now commenting and responding to the situation, and even finding out that the FBI has gotten involved. We'll go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a cartridge for the Switch that appeared at TGS, giving you the ability to play any of your PC games on the system. And we're also going to be talking about a positive move that Microsoft has made here with a major update when it comes to the DRM on the Xbox platform. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the SpawnWave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Diablo 4. It actually leaked out, and it's weird because we just had this big GTA 6 leak where footage of that appeared online. Now we have about 40 minutes of Diablo 4 just showing up from what appears to be an alpha test. I can't show you footage of it because Activision Blizzard, they'll just start striking stuff down. I'll show you some of the trailer, I guess, that they showed previously, but this appeared on Reddit. Two files, one was a couple of minutes long, the other one over half an hour long, and from what it looks like people have been able to deduce from the footage, someone was watching this through like Discord. It was being streamed to them, and they decided, I guess, to open up OBS and start recording it themselves. And in the footage, you can see identifying numbers for the person playing it in what appeared to be some sort of alpha program they were running. So, well, they're probably in trouble. But in this case, I guess the person who recorded it decided, well, I'm not under NDA. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it online and show people what I saw, which, I mean, Diablo 4 is a lot of people excited for it. It's coming out next year. And in this case, I assume the person playing it will just have their alpha access cut off at that point. I don't think they're going to court over it, nothing like that. But, I mean, who knows? We've seen a lot of leaks really happen, especially over the last year or two. So I wouldn't be surprised if Activision Blizzard, maybe they want to make their own example. We'll see there, though. But yeah, 24 hours after GTA 6 starts leaking out online, Diablo 4 follows suit. Also, we do have an event today specifically for PC gaming enthusiasts, as it looks like Nvidia is gearing up to show off some new video cards. We can see this posted up over on Twitter. They say 40 hours to GeForce Beyond. Clearly, they're teasing the reveal of the 40 series cards, and there have been talks about them showing off a 4080 and like a 4090 here. No talks around a 4070, but who knows? They could surprise us and show off a whole suite of cards here. But that will be happening later on today after this video goes live, 8 a.m. Pacific or 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who have held off buying even the 30 series cards because, well, they were just completely inflated when it comes to their pricing. They have continued to come down, and I'm thinking when these cards get revealed and pre-orders go live, I mean, they could announce them today and then they come out like a couple of weeks from now. Then you'll see cards for the 30 series flood the market, and if you've been holding out and looking to upgrade from a 20 series even previous to that, might not be a bad idea to pick up one of these cards as they continue to fall in price from the 30 series line. Otherwise, though, get ready to try to pre-order the 40 series cards. I'm sure that'll go very smoothly. Oh, and over TGS, we did get a release date for One Piece, which I haven't really ever been into One Piece before, but I understand it's a big-time franchise, and people were very excited when they saw the latest game. But we can see this over on Gamatsu with One Piece Odyssey launching January 13th, 2023. That feels very early for like a year to launch a game, but you figure there might not be a lot around it in January. Obviously, we have Fire Emblem coming up like a week or two after that, but still, One Piece fans, I'm sure, are very, very excited. Coming out in the standard, digital, deluxe, and collector's editions because, well, Bandai Namco, so go figure there. The interesting thing to keep an eye on here is this is being developed by Ilka, who also developed Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, so I'm curious to see what they can do with One Piece Odyssey. But if you're a big One Piece fan, I guess let me know if it's worth getting into now and how many episodes of the show I have in front of me to get caught up, because I'm sure it'll take me quite a while. Maybe the game itself will have an original story that I can just follow from the start, and maybe that's a good way into the series, but I guess we'll see about that one. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the GTA 6 situation after 90 different videos leaked online showing off different test builds of the game, which essentially were just developers trying out different aspects, whether it's NPC interactions or just the environment itself with characters. Well, after this, things just exploded online as to how this happened and so on. And we eventually found out that someone either hacked their way into the servers or social engineered their way in. Some way they got access to a Slack channel that had developers at Rockstar going back and forth with GTA 6 development. Well, now we have Rockstar responding to this whole thing on Twitter. We can see this posted up. It was earlier in the morning, but they say, a message from Rockstar Games: "We recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage of for the next Grand Theft Auto. At this time, we do not anticipate any disruption to our live game services, nor any long-term effect on the development of our ongoing projects. We are extremely disappointed to have any details of our next game shared with you all in this way. Our work on the next Grand Theft Auto game will continue as planned, and we remain as committed as ever to delivering an experience to you, our players, that truly exceeds your expectations. We will update everyone again soon, and of course, we will properly introduce you to this next game when it is ready. We want to thank everyone for their ongoing support through this situation." Now, I saw some people point out that the stock for Take-Two started to fall quite a bit around the market open time, and after Rockstar put this statement out earlier in the morning, it started to climb again. And I feel like the reason the stock was falling is because a hack like this and the amount of stuff that's getting pulled and dumped online could affect the development to the point where it actually gets delayed. And really what Rockstar Games was doing here in the statement, sure, they had to address it at some point. It's a pretty big deal that's happening online, but they also had to at least put it out there and say, look, the development is still rolling along as planned. This isn't necessarily going to delay anything, although they haven't announced a release date or any of that for GTA 6. The most they've done so far before this is just acknowledge that the next entry for the Grand Theft Auto series was underway, and it seemed like they were diverting a lot of resources to it when it comes to things like Red Dead Redemption's online, kind of getting pushed to the back burner. So in this case, hey guys, don't worry, we're getting this all looked at, we're gonna figure it out, and it doesn't affect the live service stuff we have right now, which means revenue, obviously, as an investor looking at, and then that next big release for Grand Theft Auto, which, let's face it, is going to be this massive thing. One, when they reveal it with the trailer, and then two, when it inevitably comes out. Now, on top of all of this, it seems like we may have an idea as to who is going around hacking a lot of these larger tech companies. It was pointed out that Uber was also hacked, seemingly by the same group or person, and they had some more information to share on what's happening exactly after all of this. We can see this posted up over on Uber's website, where they say, "We believe that this attacker or attackers are affiliated with a hacking group called Lapsus, which has been increasingly active over the last year or so. The group typically uses similar techniques to target technology companies, and in 2022 alone has breached Microsoft, Cisco, Samsung, Nvidia, and Okta, among others. There are also reports over the weekend that this same actor breached video game maker Rockstar Games. We are in close coordination with the FBI and US Department of Justice on this matter, and will continue to support their efforts." And I feel like a lot of people have pointed this out. Rockstar and Take-Two, they don't mess around at all. And now you hear Uber talking about the US Department of Justice and FBI getting involved, and I'm sure Take-Two is going to continue to really push things along here because they will look for an example to be set as this is a big deal all the way around with GTA 6. So I'm sure we'll hear more and more information come out as we go along, but at this point, Rockstar has at least addressed it. I mean, let's face it, a lot of people have seen the early builds and stuff that's been passed around, and, you know, there were some people who said that, oh, it doesn't look very good, but then I actually saw quite a few people say, hey, it looks pretty good to me. If this is early on, I mean, wow, that looks better than Saints Row in some cases. But I think at this point, things will roll along with GTA 6. It'll be this really, really big reveal when they're ready to happen. And then guess what? It's probably going to make billions of dollars when it comes out. Next up, let's talk about a cartridge for the Switch that was shown off at Tokyo Game Show with the idea of bringing any of your PC games to the system. And it's an interesting idea. I'm not really sure if it's going to make it to market, but it's kind of a cool proof of concept. We can see this posted up by 4Gamer, and I did have to translate this using Google, so here we go. We'll see how this works out. But they do have a close-up image of it here, as well as sort of a video showcasing some of the delay from a PC to the Switch in what I assume to be a very ideal scenario, but they say the stream card is used by inserting it into the game card slot on the top of the Switch. It was explained that it's not just a Wi-Fi module, but similar to a system on a chip, because it performs some processing after receiving data from a PC. They say they were able to actually play the PC version of Stray, since there is a PC and a display right next to the Switch. I was able to confirm that there was little delay. Now, this appears to be from a company or organization called Tassi, and they don't necessarily have a manufacturer, anyone backing them now, and it seems like they were at Tokyo Game Show just to show off an idea that they had, and they were able to at least come up with a proof of concept to show with Stray and a PC that was right next to it. They seem to at least have many manufacturers approach their booth and be interested in the idea. And I am curious because it would just go through the cartridge slot, and that's all you have to buy is a cartridge for it. Although I think it'd be kind of cool to have an application even on the Switch if they're not going that route with a cartridge, to where you download it and yeah, you go from your PC to your system, which we've seen with like Rainway, I think was one that was talked about. I guess with a cartridge, it wouldn't necessarily have to go through Nintendo and the eShop. I don't know, could they release it and it's just a cartridge you buy like from a third party and drop it in? Because Nintendo may have something to say about that. I'm not really sure how all that would go in like the back end with the business aspect to it, but I will admit it would be kind of cool to be able to have a cartridge in like the Switch OLED and just stream stuff from your PC, like remote play, as I've done with like the Vita, for example, or even to your phone with a PlayStation or an Xbox, anything there. But people are already getting kind of used, I guess, to seeing these streaming announcements through the internet with Resident Evil and Kingdom Hearts. At least in this way, you would just be going over your router through Wi-Fi to your PC and be able to take advantage of that hardware while on the go, mostly in your house. But also it comes down to the cost of the cartridge and all of that. So let me know what you think of the idea of buying a cartridge and be able to stream your PC games to your Switch. Next up, let's talk about a major update that Microsoft has made for the Xbox Series. And while the change doesn't seem to be massive or drastic, I actually think this update shows that Microsoft is paying attention and listening to some of the criticism around. It's been some fairly heavy-handed DRM on the platform. We can see this posted up on Twitter by Idle Sloth, who says you can now play your owned Xbox games offline. Microsoft substantially improves the DRM issues for February 2022 with the installation of disc-based games and access to digital titles with September 2022 update for the Xbox Series X and S. This is something that MVG has covered at length when it comes to which Xbox Series games work out of the box and which ones you have to connect the internet to use. It's a very strange thing when you consider the fact that you buy a physical game, but you still have to connect the internet for it to work at all. But we can see the follow-up here with Idle Sloth saying the update allows you to play your own Xbox One X, Series X, S games offline. The ones that do work offline currently, Xbox Series and Xbox One. Game Pass, Xbox 360, and OG Xbox games still need a check-in, mostly because when you put an Xbox 360 disc or an OG Xbox disc in, what it does is check to make sure it's legitimate, and then just goes to the store and downloads the entire game, essentially, from the storefront itself. And we can see Eden here, who follows up. Engineering lead at Xbox, says, yes, this is true since the 2206 update. We examined data since Series X and S launch and determined the online compatibility check isn't needed in the vast majority of cases for Xbox One discs. Some games may still need to be updated online after install to ensure the best experience. Now, this is obviously a step in the right direction for Microsoft. It's still a small step considering they're letting you play your physical Xbox One games without having to connect to the internet. But the fact that they're at least doing this and looking into it means we could see more improvements going forward. Like an example, the Xbox Series, you buy it, you have to connect to the internet during initial setup, which is annoying because that means if you don't have an internet connection that's at least reliable enough to do that initial check-in when you take it out of the box, it's unusable. The PS5 doesn't have that issue. You can use it out of the box without connecting to the internet. I understand the Xbox 360 and the OG Xbox, kind of tough when it's reliant on software that is on the storefront and the disc itself is just there to show that you own the game and then it'll pull from the store. But I'm hoping they can continue forward and really lighten up some of the DRM on the Xbox. It's a massive drawback for the platform currently, and obviously going forward when it comes to gaming preservation. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about one of my most anticipated titles for 2023, and that's Final Fantasy 16. I think the last trailer really got people excited for this game, myself included, because it did show off quite a bit. But now we're starting to hear about when we could see more information on this game and potentially a narrower release window, as it's currently standing summer 2023. We can see this posted up over on Twitter. This during TGS from Audrey. It says Yoshi P said during the event the next Final Fantasy 16 trailer will be out October 2022, so sometime next month. He also mentions the following there in the final stretch. The visual effects is complete, but there's so much sound that the sound team got mad, and adjustments are made for people not fond of action games, that was a big criticism. People looked at that and said, hey, this seems more like a Devil May Cry than a Final Fantasy. I'm trying to think of some of the adjustments when it comes to the game, maybe slowing it down a bit and looking towards Final Fantasy VII Remake, where they tried to even turn it into kind of a turn-based game at times. So there's still a lot we need to see about this game when it comes to the overall combat, as we mostly had small flashes of it, but what they showed looked pretty awesome, I will say there. The other part about this is they'd like to share more information as to when we can expect the game to release, because right now, summer 2023, that is a pretty big window, and let's face it, some of these companies gotten pretty liberal when it comes to summer. Like, Splatoon came out in summer, but it was like right at the end of it in September. And you also look at something like Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion. I was joking about it. They said winter. It's coming out before winter starts. It's like December 13th. Winter starts like the following week. Not really a bad thing because it's coming out earlier than I was expecting, but still the whole window thing they set up with these seasons is kind of tough to follow. So maybe they'll narrow it down and they'll say like first half or Q2 or Q3 of 2023. I don't think they're ready necessarily to give us a release date, but if they can at least narrow it down a bit more, that'd be nice, and obviously show off more of the game, because what we've seen so far looks incredible. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, which PS5 console do you have? 43% said the PS5 with the disc drive. Good job, everyone. 4% said the all-digital PS5. 1% said I have both PS5 systems. And then 52% said I just don't have a PS5. I feel like I see the disc-based PS5 way more often than the all-digital PlayStation 5. And I mean, part of that is because the Horizon bundle just appears to be the disc-based system, and that's probably because of the pricing. Like, it's $550 there, whereas I guess if it's like the all-digital one, it'd be, what, $450? Probably makes more sense for Sony to go that route because the disc drive does not cost them $100. But either way, I do believe as we get towards the end of this generation, we're going to have some data points that basically point to it being mostly all digital in terms of purchases, and then we'll probably have the PS6 come out without a disc drive. I talked about apparently a new revision that Sony is working on now internally on the second channel that will have the disc drive be optional, something you can attach or remove completely. So that tells me, yeah, that's sort of the direction Sony is looking to move in, to get rid of discs completely and roll into 2027 or 2028 as a digital PS6 being the only choice. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Sis saying, the biggest leak in gaming history. Did anyone forget about the 2003 Half-Life 2 leak? The game wasn't just leaked, it was released for everyone to download alongside other Valve titles using the Source engine. Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest impact it could have. Like, GTA 6 getting out there in that state, I mean, you can see the stock dropping because, let's face it, GTA 5 is on a whole other level compared to Half-Life 2. I mean, or Half-Life. It just is. Like, GTA 5 is what 170 million copies have sold. It's this incredibly valuable intellectual property. Half-Life 2 is 12 million sold or something. I mean, that was a pretty big deal at the time because it set Valve back hundreds of millions of dollars, and they ended up delaying Half-Life 2 from 2003 into 2004, which when you saw the version that just got dropped online, how buggy and messed up it was, made sense. But I just think if GTA 6 continued to leak and source code got out there and had them delay a year, that would cost them way more than a couple $100 million. That number would be ridiculous. So that's really, in my mind, what it is, more the impact overall on gaming and that company. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There was the developments around the GTA 6 leaks with Rockstar responding, and now even the FBI getting involved. And also, what about that stream card for the Switch? Would you be interested in picking that up? And then Xbox lightening up a bit on the DRM with the Xbox. Do you think they'll go a bit further, though? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.